All right, we're here with the third edition of Daniel Bryan Classics. This would be Roderick Strong from Vendetta. And yeah, this was an amazing match. Before I get into the match, let me tell you the backstory. So Bryan Danielson returned to Ring of Honor from, spending the summer in Europe. And his first match back, he won the ROH title from Jamie Noble, a.k.a. James Gibson, at Glory of Honor 4. It was in September. So fast forward, about a month and a half later, he had a match with Roderick Strong in Connecticut called This Means War. And that match was pretty much done to set up their Vendetta match in Chicago a week later. So this match took place, early November 2005. And to me, this was really the start of Bryan Danielson, really etching his legacy and taking, Ring of Honor to that next level. Just the style of the match. It's probably his single greatest performance ever. In many ways, but give Roderick Strong credit too. In the midst of 2005, you had CM Punk, Samoa Joe, Austin Aries as the champion, Bryan Danielson returning, and James Gibson. Many people thought he was the MVP, but a lot of people did think Roderick Strong was the MVP of 2005, which is kind of weird because how is someone the MVP of 2005 and then he's not even close to being an MVP candidate in 2012, 2013 when the roster is so depleted? It's kind of I think that might be kind of an interesting discussion, but yeah. So what did you think of the Roderick Strong Bryan Danielson classic match from Vendetta? It actually went about 48 minutes. What do you think?
Well, to be honest with you, you're right. It makes me respect Roderick Strong a lot more. I always thought he was a good wrestler, but I never saw oh my God, this guy's amazing. He never really stood out to me, but he definitely shows it in this match. These guys are incredibly stiff with each other. If you haven't seen this match before, I've never seen two guys be more stiff with each other than in this match. I know I mentioned that in the last video, but this is stiff. I mean, Strong is giving Bryan Danielson these chops, and Danielson's chest actually starts bleeding. I mean, you can see.
It's not just red. Sometimes you see guys just red, but this was actually, you saw dark red blood.
There was a little hole in his chest. Yeah. I mean, you could see the blood.
And one of the chops, you could tell Danielson was like, "Fuck, this is not smart."
Yeah.
You could get the wind knocked out of you. Somewhat, you could have a heart attack from those chops.
I mean, geez, if you do it hard enough, and they were so hard. You're right. His eyebrows went up like, whoa, maybe we're going a little too far here.
He definitely got raped in the ring by Roderick Strong. But
yeah, absolutely. It wasn't. It's funny you mentioned it's one of Daniel Bryan's best matches. It's.
But some people think it's his best performance because Roderick Strong was still up and coming. A lot of people didn't. A lot of people make the argument that Roderick needs to be in there with somebody great to have great matches. And you can have great matches with Roderick Strong. Right,
exactly. Well, obviously this is the right guy to do it with, and Daniel Bryan. It was such a long match. I wasn't, it won't be one of my favorite matches, but I did toward the 40-minute mark. I was like, holy crap! I can't believe these guys are going.
Well, I mean, was it too slow
long
for you? Because I noticed you weren't that into it
in the beginning, because it's one of those matches. They're very similar to RVD matches in ECW, where they would just kind of walk around the ring for the first 5 minutes. And whenever you do that, I hate that because it's just like making me wait. But let me tell you something, and I was thinking about it while we were watching this match. It was a real heel move. You could see in this match that Danielson was still experimenting with being a heel. I could tell. And
well, it was his second. He turned heel at This Means War, the first match of Roderick Strong in Connecticut the week before.
Right.
Just the finish and the overall, that's worked. It was like a worked shoot type of finish. So if you saw that match, you could definitely see, Danielson was more of a cocky asshole, type of heel. And in this match, he showed more of it.
Yeah, he showed more of it, and he was still playing around with it. Even the I have till 5. With the crowd didn't completely know that yet. That was
it was still new. Yeah.
It was still brand new. So it was interesting to see him experimenting with these things. And I think when you spend the first 5 to 10 minutes outside the ring, just sort of at one point he kind of scurried away from Roderick Strong, and I thought it was really funny. And I always talk about how if Daniel Bryan ever turns heel in WWE, it'll be interesting to see how he tries to do some of the same things that he did early on in Ring of Honor, but you can see some of what he's doing, you know, as a heel in his early start there. So I thought that was kind of interesting to see. But no, overall, when the match was over, I was like, whoa, that was a war. This is a war. These guys put everything into it. It's just a complete war.
Well, I think I've said this before in the past, and I think Mr. Narrator commented on the last video that the first word that popped into his head was violent. And it's funny because there's no weapons being used. It's not like, you know, it's like an ECW hardcore match. And it is. It's probably the most violent match I've ever seen without any uses of weapons or tables or any of that stuff.
Right.
And why is it violent? It's just Roderick Strong's chops. You know, I don't think, you know, I don't think anyone ever let Roderick have this kind of green light where Danielson just let him do whatever he wanted, the hardest he could have done it. So it's violent in that regard, and just the intensity and Danielson's elbows when he won the match. It was just like, I can't stand being in the ring with this fucking son of a bitch any longer. I'm just going to hit him as hard as I can with these elbows and just get this match over with. And the finish was incredible too, because Roderick was chopping him just as hard at 48 minutes as he was during the first 2 minutes. Mm-hmm. So this finishing sequence was like something you would have seen in a movie. I really felt like that, and just the way Roderick chopped him with, you know, he let out this big scream like, ah. And it was just like, you know, I don't know. To me, it was just, I don't know, man. It just had all the emotion and intensity in it. But, one of the other parts of the match is Danielson's like physical dissection. You know, a lot of, you know, backbreakers from Danielson throughout the match, and you know, he worked on his legs, worked on his arm, worked on everything. There's not one part of his body that Danielson didn't work on. He totally just annihilated him. And it was smart, you know. It was a smartly wrestled match from Danielson's side. I think the story they were trying to tell is Roderick is more aggressive. At the time, Roderick was more heavier, so his chops had more impact. So the way to counter that is just to, you know, outsmart him and just take apart his whole body. And there was parts of the match where you felt like Roderick's legs were so weakened that you were afraid for him just to get back into the ring, because he looked like he was walking like his foot was asleep, because he was so like, you know he was selling it so well, when Danielson was going to work on his legs. So I don't know. I understand this. See, the reason I want to do this match is not as accessible as some of the other matches, and it's longer. But I don't know. I think this is. I feel like this is his breakout performance of, you know, Bryan Danielson, best wrestler in the world. That type of, you know, when he was, you know, going for that type of, you know, phrase.
I see what you mean. Yeah, and like I said, you start to see that character get built. You know, the seeds were planted previously, but now he's starting to really develop that character in the ring and as a performer. And you know, it's such a heel way. He did this a lot at that time in his title reign, by elbowing guys until they just weren't conscious anymore, and the ref had to stop the match. That, to me, that's like one of the most heel ways to win a match, because you want to see a pinfall or a submission. You know, you want to see, if it's a face, you want to see him get that pinfall, you know, because it's like, yeah, 1, 2, 3, yeah, he did it, you know, but to elbow a guy until he's not conscious anymore, you know, almost like in the way that I could have done this to you 40 minutes ago, and now I'm just gonna friggin' hit you with elbows and forearms until you're knocked out cold. To me, it's just a heel thing to do. And it's great. It made sense for this match.
Yes, that's pretty much it. But as far as this match goes, it was, you know, it's crazy.
Crazy match, absolutely. Yeah, as you said, most violent match. Headbutts, elbows, really stiff, and you know, but it's definitely where you respect these guys a whole lot at the end, and you're kind of wondering maybe they don't like each other. And I think that's what I wanted to touch on. That's why I kind of stumbled. I forgot what I was going to say. That's why I sent it back over to you. But yeah, the thing about the match was you just didn't know. In the previous match, you get more of that this means war match. That maybe there was something that went on in the ring where they really pissed each other off,
I don't know. You just felt that tension while they were in the ring. Like, you know, this normally doesn't happen in you know, professional wrestling. But you really felt that maybe they took it too far and they pissed each other off or something. Because you just don't get this type of aggressiveness from both sides every day. But combination just worked.
Do you know if there was any animosity between the two?
No, I don't think so. No, I'm sure there's not.
Just maybe just.
It's just that's how Roderick Strong was getting over. You know, just extremely intense backbreakers. You know, chops at the time, but chops harder than anybody in the world probably. You know, other than Kabashi and maybe someone else from Japan, maybe Loki. But yeah, incredible match. I think this is the last Daniel Bryan video I want to do. I don't know. The only reason I want to do these 3 matches because they're not as accessible as like the Nigel and the Kenta matches and matches like those. So I just wanted to, you know, show you them and, you know, get your opinion on them because they're honestly they're not as accessible as some of his other classic matches. But I don't know. I just feel like it's everything I've been doing on the channel is kind of what should I say? It's just not, you know, relevant, to be honest with you. It's just, you know, I think the WWE is good right now, but there's just not a lot I feel like talking about. And
it's also hard because Daniel Bryan's out right now. I think it'd be more relevant if he wasn't injured, you know, for people who's watching him at this stage in his career.
Yeah.
But what I would, you know, suggest is when he does come back and when maybe someday these videos will be more relevant, you can plug them again and you can basically tell people, hey, we did these videos a while back. If you want to check out these matches, check out what we think about these matches. That's what I would suggest to do.
Yeah. And then the New Japan G1 Climax tournament. I mean, you haven't seen any of it. You haven't heard about it. But it's a, you know, people keep asking me about what I thought about it. But, you know, I mean, obviously it's people are saying this is the best wrestling tournament of all time. And you could obviously see that by the cards. But, you know, I mean, there's just nothing new I could add on it. You know, the other people are reviewing it and, you know, they're getting the reviews up pretty quickly. So, you know, I can't really, you know, follow up on anything. But yeah, just check it out if you haven't seen it yet. It just looks like an amazing tournament. And it seems like AJ Styles is, you know, proving his worth and, you know, having probably one of the best years of his career. So that's pretty much it, guys. Hope you enjoyed the video and hope you enjoyed the 3-part